Yes. The film by Beckett, starring Buster Keaton, opens with a powerful close-up of an eyelid that looks like a rock, so full of texture. The eyelid slowly opens to reveal an eye staring at us. The film, 1965 by Beckett, is a complex and paradoxical labyrinth of seeing and being seen, escaping the gaze and succumbing to it, only to reveal at the end the identity of the one who watches and the one who's being watched. And I hope I don't spoil the film if I tell you that they are one and the same person. Beckett said that if one sentence could sum up the film, it would be the Berkeleyan sentence esse est percipi. To be is to be perceived. This means to feel being watched is terrifying, but it is also a proof of existence. In 2006, I carried out a complicated project, Rooms Conversations, a film, text, and found footage project based on the material of the former archives of the Stasi, the domestic political police of East Germany, now called the BSTU archives. The material I worked with was mainly exhaustive, incredibly thorough descriptions of everyday life, with the patina of a time gone forever, and inevitably glamorize the 70s behind the Iron Curtain. Horror appeared on those pictures. Oh, I see I can't go back. Horror, it doesn't work. Yes. Horror appeared in those pictures in the form of a black stripe covering the eyes. Designed to protect the identity of the photograph subject, it somehow accentuated their helplessness, their shame. Subjects dispossessed of the control of their lives' narratives, having their image stolen. But other times, these images, of which I was not given any information of what they were taken for, why, who took it, presented all the attractive textures of the thriller, the mystery novel, the cool documentary, and the avant-garde film. They were beautiful pictures. The texts that could be read in the archives, texts that were called the acting, were equally fascinating. They were narratives where the map was coincident with the territory. Everything was noted: clothes, breakfast, friends, children, conversations, kisses, drinks, cigarettes, bicycles, sandwiches, cinemas, bedtimes, sleep times. Everything was there, as if everything was equally interesting, everything equally fundamental, everything meant something. A big paradox lurked inside this duplicate of everyday life, constructed by people that were your friends and your family, for the benefit of the eye of the party. It clearly involves a criminalization of everyday life, and at the same time provided an amazing intensity to this everyday life. It turned the irrelevant into the relevant, the meaningless into the significant. It loaded everything with sense. As an artist, and before I was fully aware of the complexity of this material I was working with, I saw the material on the one hand as terribly dull, irrelevant and infinite reports, hours of surveillance tapes, and clearly a threat to privacy and freedom. And at the same time, this same material was terribly exciting. It had for me the look of avant-garde literature and film. The material, this work I made in Leipzig, the material inspired works such as instant narrative, which consists of a very simple device by which somebody who's in a room you pass by is typing on the computer, and you pay no more attention to it as if it was a janitor of a guard of the exhibition. When you go through the exhibition, then you're confronted with a wall. And in that wall, you can see yourself. You realize that somebody is watching you. You realize that somebody has included you in a narrative, and that you're being described, everything you do, and the people that are with you. And at that moment, it starts a process of feedback that makes that the one observed starts to perform for the observer. You start to provoke the narrative. You start to influence the actions that are being described by the writer. So, as I was saying when talking about the Beckett piece, embarrassment first, then exhibitionist performance. The Stasi project and the instant narrative projects are both from 2006, yet the simultaneity of anguish and thrill can be read easily in social media today. Stasi videos could be read as situationist films, blindfolded portraits of beautiful, smoking strangers call to mind the glamorous pictures that Astrid Prohl took of Enslin and Bader in Paris, the Bader-Meinhof couple, or the films of Jean-Luc Godard. My own film, Room's Conversation, which was in the end the final product of this research, a 25-minute film theater play based on real sound files of East Germany domestic spy encounters, looked very much like an Antonioni film. Why is that beauty touches terror? Why fear produces, first of all, stories that we like to tell? In the end, this was the final product of the 2-year research. I tried to tell these stories in this book, where you saw together the original material, the research material, and all the different pictures that I could find, and the film stills of the film that I was allowed to work with. But this book can't be bought. This book has been retired from the market by the publisher, and both the artist, because of the artist, the institution that produced the book, and the publisher fear legal prosecution. Because, as I was saying, nor the archive that sold me the material, which is the BSTU, nor me as the artist who paid for the work, for the images, and printed them, ordered them, printed them, included in a narrative, we do not own these images. It is the people picturing them that owns the material. So because of fear of prosecution of this, by these people, the protagonists of the images, this book can't be sold. It says, when I was portrayed in the German press about what I was doing, they say Spanish artist helped herself in the supermarket of the Stasi. I was turning repressive, politically and historically loaded material, the immense suffering of the people, into art. Now, the condition of showing the pictures I just showed to you, the pictures I collected from the Stasi archives, is by, as I say, being shown for didactic purposes, like the one I'm doing now. Specify clearly the origin of these pictures, as I'm doing now, the BSTU archives, and also to state clearly that they are not art. Thank you very much.
So it's a fascinating way to look at mass surveillance in the intimate way, like it was done in Germany, East Germany. We were discussing this a little bit yesterday, and you were sort of talking about how they were taking sort of unimportant stuff, and like they couldn't foresee that the war would collapse. What is the lessons we can learn from the mass surveillance that's happening today?
Well, I think the main lesson that you learn after working with the Stasi archive is that surveillance is useless. There is a mass of information that doesn't tell you anything. As I was saying, it was absolutely unbelievable the amount of information that are in the Stasi's archive. Especially, you know, it's really a duplicate one of everyday life. They knew everything about everybody, even those people that were not surveyed, they acted as if they were being under surveillance. And all this information, all these kilometers of paper, they could not tell anybody, not even 4 hours later, that the wall was going to fall. So my conclusion is that it's totally useless.
Yeah, that's a good point. However, today they have, of course, better technology to extract certain behavior and algorithms. Do you think that they're going to get better at it through technology? Is it more of a sort of an invasion, or what's your sense of how they are utilizing this vast material of our most intimate details?
Well, I think that the Stasi, similar to what is happening now, was useful in keeping the people in terror, let's say, to make them afraid. The moment the people were not afraid anymore, it was useless. So in that sense, I believe the amount, loads of information, they don't tell you anything. It is the person who's looking at it that makes deductions. And I believe that an intelligent person doesn't need at all that amount of information. An intelligent person can just look at how things are and make deductions. I think the problem of the surveillance system is that it's stupid.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you.